Bitcoin currently in the middle of a 5% move or so to the upside as Bitcoin bears and bulls continue this price war. Is this a sign of a bigger move getting ready to happen, or must we endure the uncertainty of it all for the next 1 to 2 weeks? What is up, everyone? Thanks for coming by. If you're a replay viewer, if you're a live stream viewer, whatever it is, I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you for coming by. Hit the like button on your way in. You know what to do. It means a lot. Let's get that momentum. It helps me. It encourages it. It really does. I feel the love. I see you, Raudell, in the chats. I see you, Elliot, Art the Absent, Glenn, what's up? Let's jump into the charts. Here we go. This is a picture of resistance. We're going to check this out in just a couple minutes. Before we do, for context to this video, this is the weekly chart. I've done a lot of talking about where Bitcoin is in terms of fighting this current bottom to what happened in the bottom of the bear market. So many similarities. One thing that we should take with us out of this entire move is patience. I don't think we're going to get everything we want to get, which is a breakout to the upside, right away. So that's number one, patience. But what did this move look like? We've been tracking this move on the 4 hour. What did this move at the bottom of the bear market look like on the 4 hour? This is it. This is that move on the 4 hour chart. And it is extremely similar to the current move that we're in on the real-time 4 hour chart. So even when you zoom in on these charts, this bottoming out, this consolidation is very similar, right? So we can liken even today's video to, like, if we're here trying to figure out what's going to happen to Bitcoin. And if you look ahead, it almost seems silly to zoom so far into the charts, because look at this. Look at the weeks and weeks of volatility and the patience that we must have had back then before actually getting a move. I think that everybody's waiting for a move to the upside, unless you're a Bitcoin bear and you want another move to the downside. But either way, this is a long time of consolidation. And if we put it into perspective, as of right now, we're kind of like somewhere in here, right? So now let's take this and go to the 4 hour chart. So we've done a lot of, we've come a long way, I should say, from the bottom that we had, back in March 12th. You remember all the way back here when Bitcoin just tanked with the rest of traditional markets. It was a tough day. And we needed to be patient, wait around for structure to kind of start forming on the charts, and we've gotten that, right? So these videos become a little bit easier because we've gotten that. And it really all started with this inverse head and shoulders back here. We had the left shoulder, right, the head, the right shoulder. We had the breakout that followed the indicator that we had on Dash's breakout. It worked really well. This proved to be a great time to accumulate Bitcoin, especially we had that leading indicator in Dash that gave us some time to even buy some right here if we so wanted to. And then from there, other technical indicators, we saw this channel being resistance. We anticipated to move back down to form a new swing low. We got it, and we're still cruising along, right? Like, we can do these videos every day of every week, and we can really just take it a step at a time. That's probably the best approach, to take it a step at a time. Now, if I zoom in on this chart a little bit, this is a 4 hour chart. We can see Bitcoin with a nice little move. I was actually right at the beginning of this move on the 4 hour. I was like on a live stream call with a buddy of mine. I'm going to put it to you straight. We're running our businesses. We're having fun accumulating Bitcoin, but I think we're going to start having a little fun trading Bitcoin a little bit, right? Not tapping into our Bitcoin long-term stash or anything, but applying patience to trading. And we're using a lot of the technical analysis that I do on these videos. I'm not going to tell you when I'm trading. I would feel way too much pressure and responsibility for people following what I'm doing. But it's just something for us to do as we're kind of locked inside our houses and, taking a step away from business. And there's so many technicals and so many different variables that play into how you would trade, right? So everybody has their own approach. And this is what I'm looking at on the 1 hour chart. Now, the 1 hour, the reason I'm using the 1 hour, I don't typically, is just because it really gives a clear indication of the second part of the title of this video. are we going to have to wait around for Bitcoin's next big move, right? Is this going to take another 1 to 2 weeks for Bitcoin to play out? And the reason I say that, actually, if I go to the 4 hour, if you zoom out on this chart, you do see a kind of a clear ascending triangle in play. We have an upper trend line resistance right around 69 to 7,000. And then we have these higher lows forming at the bottom of the trend line. But you can just see this is a pretty mid-size ascending triangle that's forming. And this kind of goes to the end of April, right? And it's a very similar move as the one Bitcoin had at the bottom of the bear market. And you can just see we liken to kind of where we are right now in that move. And then we had weeks before Bitcoin broke out. So we could be in a very similar position right now in terms of Bitcoin. And we do. We get these little moves. It's a nice 4 hour candle. That's fine, right? I can do a video as it's happening. But if we go to the 1 hour chart, we see resistance. We see resistance ahead of us. And, I'll chart the two resistances. One, we're kind of like hovering at. This is a smaller term resistance. And this is the swing high that we had. This was March 30th. We trickled down a little bit. This was yesterday. Actually, this was today, earlier today, because this is the hourly chart. And we have a very, very short-term Fibonacci retracement resistance area, this green rectangle. It's the last thing me and my buddy talked about when we got off our call. We basically wanted to see what happened at this area. It's not so important to me. It's just such a zoomed in, ridiculous area. We're in the middle of a pretty large looking ascending triangle. This isn't somewhere I'd feel comfortable doing anything. But kind of extending that to a longer time frame, we can take our Fibonacci retracement from our actual upper trend line resistance to our lower trend line resistance. And then we have an area that's like worth looking at in terms of Bitcoin. And it's pretty clear on the 1 hour chart. That's why I have it. And simply put, that's where we just wicked into. Like this just happened, 65.50 or so up to 67.50. That area is a very big resistance area. Now, not only is that area a big resistance area, right above that resistance channel, we have another like 3 to 4% resistance. That resistance is simply because that's the upper trend line, which sits right above there, right? So you really have to be careful if Bitcoin starts treading in that area, because you have a couple of different things that can happen. Bitcoin can truly confirm the ascending triangle. Maybe we don't have to wait weeks. Maybe we get this third touch to the upper end of this triangle, right? Another $400 from where we are to the upside. We touch this trend line, and then we actually break above it. Now, everybody knows on this channel, when we break out of a pattern, I like to conservatively wait for a revisit to the trend line that we broke out of before even having any type of bullish or bearish indicator, meaning do we see support at that line or do we fall through it? Bearish, right? Support would be bullish. But again, we're pretty far from that happening. Like, I guess $400 isn't that far, but on the short term, with all of the volatility within this triangle, we are kind of far from that happening. There's a lot of resistance above in terms of Bitcoin. So, and I can just chart that one more time so you can see it, especially if you're just getting into this live stream. The swing high upper trend line, swing low lower trend line, and there's our resistance channel in green. And honestly, that's what I'm looking at kind of going in tonight. And that's pretty much it. That's all I'm watching. I want to see what happens. We kind of have this new formation happening in real time as well. Bitcoin could kind of have this rising channel, and you see it. Here's the lower trend line. Here's the upper trend line, right? And again, this is the hourly. It gets very easy to chart different patterns on the hourly chart. And you can obviously see even this falling channel hit its targets right here at resistance. So patterns work. We use them. You have to have a lot of patience to keep watching all these patterns and tracking them. And you also have to have self-control in terms of when you're going to make your move. For me, these trend lines are the most important, the upper trend line, the lower trend line, to see what happens. So right now, our first resistance level, 67.50 or so to 65.50. We're there now. Let's just see. Bitcoin might break that in the next hour. It might break it right after I, upload this video and get off of this live stream. But in the meantime, we wait, we see, and we wait for confirmations. That's the name of the game. It's so easy to guess. It's 50-50 right now which direction we go. That's a very unsafe game to play. Everybody knows at the end of the day, we can zoom out even on a 4 hour. a break to the downside, we have accumulation area down there. It's always my priority. I don't know what your priority is, but that's always my priority. Can we have some fun in the meantime? Can we track the short-term charts? Absolutely. But you can watch any YouTuber. Everyone's guessing at this point. We have to wait for confirmations. You see it on the daily chart. To end this video, on the daily, we did get this 50 moving average cross below the 200 moving average, this red line. Bitcoin is kind of making a nice little uptrend, maybe potentially to that area, right? This channel up to $8,200 is the actual breakout target of this ascending triangle. So if Bitcoin does break through this ascending triangle that you see on the screen, 8,200 is a target. And at that point, we might have some very heavy resistance at this moving average, around the 200 moving average. And it's very, very confluent at this stage with the 50 because they just crossed. And you know what happens often at a cross, after a cross, Bitcoin resistance at the 200 moving average. I'm using back in April 2018 as an example, simply because that's one of the last times Bitcoin crossed below that area. So what we want in a bullish environment is what happened after this cross in October 2019. Simply, Bitcoin breaks back above the 200 moving average, continues up after that. Now, things happened here, global events that may have impacted what actually would have happened with Bitcoin, right? So we're entering that bull market cycle, I truly believe. I just think it's delayed a little bit in terms of everything going on, the uncertainty, the fear. Human emotion is driving Bitcoin price. I know everybody wants to talk about Bitcoin's not correlated to traditional markets, but it is correlated to human emotion and to humans in general. So just remember that when you're thinking about what Bitcoin's going to do next. Whether we see resistance here, right, $7,000, or if we do get a break and we see resistance here, you can be almost certain, right? And we can look at this on the 4-hour. If we see resistance there, or if we get a break and we see resistance at the breakout targets, also around the 200 moving average on the daily, you can almost be certain Bitcoin's going to consolidate. It's literally what it does all the time for the history of Bitcoin. So just be prepared for that. You know, it's easy to like get euphoric if Bitcoin starts moving, but be ready for that big move down. Consolidation is always bullish. Even if Bitcoin's coming down 20% in price, that is bullish to me. So those are my thoughts. That's my update on Bitcoin today. I don't know. We wait, we see what happens. I'm just sharing the data with you all. I'm hanging out with you all because I think, like many of you, I'm just watching the charts too. And it's fun. But again, patience. This could be a waiting game, especially as the charts play out right now. This could be another 1 to 2 weeks or so. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you're doing out there. I read your comments. I appreciate you coming by. If you're here and you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot as we grow this channel. And again, if you're in the live stream, if you came and you watched, thank you. I hope you have an awesome day. You're all in my prayers, my thoughts. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good one, and God bless.